Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to build the rudder, and when you get done with it, it should look something like this. Okay, so we're also, besides doing the rudder and fin, we're going to do the stabilizer and elevator. And this is what the completed elevator stabilizer will look like when we're done. So let's get started on this build, all right? So today we're gonna work on the rudder. I got a question for you guys out there. Just wondering, I've been trying to decide whether I want to cover the control surfaces with cloth, or if I just put a sheet of balsa skin over, and basically fiberglass those as well. Not with really heavy fiberglass, obviously, because you really don't want that on the control surfaces. But the cloth is very expensive. It's like $70 for a roll at Balsa USA. So I hadn't really gone into looking too far with. I could get some that maybe is a little bit cheaper. But the cloth would definitely make it more realistic, which that would have been the way they were done back when they built the planes originally. So a quick thought, if you could just jot down what you think down in the comments and let me know. So you're going to need, and so you're going to take there's R2, R3, R4, and you're going to need to glue those together. So we'll do that now. Now that you've got that glued together, you should have something like I have right here. And we're going to go ahead and draw in where the ribs go. So it's going to be these little lines right here. And you'll just draw lines across so that you know where to set the ribs in. And so we'll do that now. Right, so you should have something that looks like this now. Also, if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, I'd appreciate that. Alright, so after we do that, we're going to take our R1 and see if this is cut the size if I did that. I did. So this is going to slide right into there. And so we will glue that into place now. Okay, once you get your lines drawn on the rudder, then you're going to need a 1/8 by 9/32 by 30 inch balsa stick, and you're going to make your ribs. And so that you marked from the plan. So we'll do that. Also, what I'm going to do later, I'm going to wait until I put the ribs here, and then I'm going to cut the pieces that go this way. That way I know exactly how long I need them, and I'll get them right. And all right, so let's do that now. All right, so we got that much done, and now you're going to need to cut a 3/8 by 3/4 inch piece that will fit right there. That's your tabling edge. And so that's that one. Then you're going to do one that's 1/8 by 1 inch. And this is going to be the bottom of your rudder. And then you're going to need a 3/8 by 1 1/4 that will go in here, and that will be your torque rod block. All right, so let's get those cut and glued in. So once you get all that stuff in, you should have something that looks like this. Make sure when you put this torque rod block in, it is centered in this hole. But you should have something that looks like this now. And I think we're going to cut hinge blocks because we're going to use large hinge points. All right, so make sure you cut 2 blocks for each spot, so you'll end up with 4 blocks. And then glue those in place, one on each side. So they're a little thick, but I think that'll be a good thing because that gives us more material to sand down to get just right. so we're not too low. So once you get it done, it should look something like this. Yeah, remember, let me know if you think we should do the cloth, or just go ahead and put a sheet of 16-inch balsa sheet over it, and maybe do a little fiberglassing on it. I'm still debating myself, so yeah, just let me know what you think, all right? So when you're doing this, I would suggest starting out with some 80 grit sandpaper, and as you get a little more refined, drop it down to 220. All right, so now we're going to do the sanding process, and when you do this, you want to pull it towards you, as well as while you're doing it, you're shaping these ribs to be like the cross-section on your plan. So you basically want to pull this down to get it kind of a wave in there, a little bit of a bump, and then back down. So let's get started. Okay, so now that we got the sanding done, should have something that should look like that. You should have a nice contour down. And when you do that, make sure you're catching as many ribs as possible so you can keep your sanding even. So there's not one that's way off from the other. That would be bad. So now next thing we're going to do is we're going to sand a lean edge down to where it's supposed to be. And I printed these, 3D printed these contour sanders. So I'm going to include them with every kit. So, and of course every kit's going to be a little different. So you don't have to worry about if the sander's going to work, because I will change it as needed. So then you can do that with where it's much easier. All right, let's get that done. All right, so once you get the sanding all done on the leading edge, it should look something like that. I'll have nice contour there. Get that sanded up there. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but when you sand long hair to even these up, be careful. They might pop loose. If they do, just go them back in place. But then the next thing you want to do is lay the rudder down on the plan, and then draw where your hinges go. And do the same thing with the fin. And then you should end up with something like that. So now we got a completed set. So move on to the next thing. All right, so now we need to drill some holes for the hinges. So we got the Robart 3/16 hinges and a drill guide here, which works really good. It's from Robart also. And so now we'll drill some holes. Okay, so one thing I did forget to do, we need to use our contour sander and bevel this around so we got a nice lean edge on the fin. So we'll do that now. All right, so now we got the fin lean edge done, a nice little roundness to it. Looking pretty good. So now the fin and rudder are done. All right, so bring your stab flam back to the building board and grab your stab. And we're going to notch this out that we left in here earlier. So we're going to do that right now. All right, so that you got these notched out and sanded down real nice. Now we need to go ahead and put our lean edge on the stab. So we'll do that now. Okay, so now you should have a stab that looks like this, where the lean edge is now rounded over. And these are cut out. So you can lay it back on the plan. And we're going to mark the hinge locations. So we'll do that now. All right, so mark your lines, draw your holes, and should end up with something like that. All right? So on to the next step. All right, so now we're going to take the elevators and we're going to do the same thing with the ribs like we did with the rudder. So we'll sand those down and make a nice double there. So that, and then we'll move on to the next step after that. All right, so now with the elevator, okay, we're going to line it up with the stab. You get one here, and then you're going to need just a little shim that's a 1/16 inch piece of balsa, and you want to slide that right in there. So we need to maintain the 16th inch gap there, and then make sure your elevator's right on the line with the stab. And then you're going to want to tack glue it in a couple of spots to hold the elevator there so we can then sand it to the contours of the stab. And then we'll come back later and do the other side, all right? All right, so once you get the sanding all done, should have something that looks like this. And now we're going to separate the elevators from the stab, and then we'll mark our hinge points on the elevators, and we'll drill our holes. All right? Okay, so now we need to put an edge on our elevator right here. If you look at your plan, I've drawn an end because it was only just a little dash line. But you need to make the 90-degree sand right there, the leading edge of the elevator. So, well, oh, by the way, I also I came up with another idea for covering the elevators in the rudder. Possibly maybe even doing some monocoat. So that's an option. So, but let me know in the comments what you think, though. So, we'll go ahead and sand this and... Okay, that should have get your edges nice and done. Make sure you do not glue your hinge points in. Wait until we're going to do that at the end of this build. That'll be one of the final things. So, on to the next thing. All right, get all the hinges in. Then you should have something to look kind of like this. I'll have to go back and adjust these a little bit more so it gets a much closer fit, but... yeah, so far, which was pretty good. So, yeah. So we are now done with the fin and stabilizer, and next project on this build will be the wing. That should be nice. Wing's always a little more exciting than the tail feathers to go through, so that's it for now. See you next time. Then thanks for watching.